Hi everyone, I'm live. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I've got a little bit of feedback on mine, but it's not too bad. So yeah, welcome to our first relax and craft together. There's going to be some teething problems, we know. Let me just see if I can. Oh, see, straight away, knocked it. So yeah, there's going to be some teething problems, no doubt. Let me just move that out of the way so you can't see that. And yeah, I'll just wait for a few people to join me. If anybody could share this into our groups, that would be amazing. So little rockers, that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm trying to think where. Let me just 1 second. I'm just going to try and do something else with this phone. Curse. Is that any better? Oh, thank you very much, Tracy. Is that better? Or is that now silly with the thing? I think it's better the other way, isn't it? Sorry if I'm making you feel a bit, oh, that's a bit close. Don't want to be that close. Let me just tighten that up. I think that's okay, isn't it? That's fine. Right, spectacular's on because I can't see the comments. If not, so as you can see, I have got two cameras, this one and this one. And when I start to demo, obviously I will go and make this camera a lot bigger so you can see, and I can zoom in and out with this camera. So it should all be really good. So what we're going to do today is, I don't know if you've seen, I did put a picture up, but I have got this beautiful, let me just put me back like that so you can see, this beautiful egg timer. And it says on it, take time for yourself. Now, I did try and get the camera angle so that I could get this in as well, but I couldn't get it in unless I put it on the table. Then you can't see it. Hi Sarah, hi Tracy, hi Pauline. Oh, you're all coming in. Yeah, if somebody could just share this into the little rockers groups or anywhere that you think might want to inspire Chalmers Gems, something like that. So yeah, if you could just share it into some of the lives, into some of the groups, that would be amazing. So the more people that know about us, the better, because I'm going to try and do this every single week. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, that you all like it and that you've got something to craft along with me. I haven't got a cup of tea because I left it too late, but I've got a drink of water. So if you are relaxing crafting along, then obviously if you're having a cup of tea, a bit of cake, chocolate, lunchtime in it, so maybe a lunch, then that'd be wonderful. Oh, there's lots of you joining now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the egg timer over. So here's the egg timer. So let me turn him over so you can see now. Oh, it's a bit precarious. So I'll put it down before you pick it back up. It started to flow. So I'm going to put that at the back, and then we can see, can't we? I can roughly show you on that. I will get that sorted so that we can all see it all the time. But let's just put it right at the very back so it doesn't fall off anywhere, because that would be a disaster on the first time. So let's now just trying to see which way is the one where it's the, so that's which layout is better. I think that one's okay, isn't it? So we're going to start by doing our crafting. I can still see up here. Oh, it's clouded over in sunny Cambridge, in South Cambridgeshire. Oh, Pauline says it's a bit chilly where she is. Yeah, it was really sunny this morning. Now, when I went live this morning, it was ever so lovely, and now it's gone a bit grey and dreary, but never mind. Never mind. It can't rain anymore. There is no more rain left, I don't think. So, we haven't got a finished piece of jewellery because we don't know what we're going to make. But what I have got is I've got my findings pack. So these are the findings packs that are on the website. I've got some elastic in case I need it. I've got some beading thread in case I will need it. I've got some 0.7 wire, silver plated wire. I've got some aquamarine. Oh, Katie Parker's watching. Hello, Katie Parker. I'm going to try and put this over here a little bit more so that I can see it without having to. Sorry if it's going to be a bit, you're going on a bit of a journey. Is that better? Without getting that cable in the way? So that I can just look up then, you see. I've knocked something over. It's all right. It's fine. Right, you're on a bit of a wonk there now, so let me just lift you up a little bit. That's better. Mark's just arrived back home. He's been doing some work for my mum. So yeah, what we're going to do is it Mark or is it a delivery? I don't know. Anyway, if they knock on the door, I'll just answer it. By some fluke, I have aquamarine on my workbench today. Do you, Sarah? Well, these are some that I had left over from a project, and they're really, really beautiful. Now, these were from when I did the chakra kit, the chakra pendant kit. And sometimes these were bigger than 6mm. So it meant that they didn't fit in that bead capture, so I kept them because they're such beautiful blues. So I've got those, and I've also got this necklace which I made about, I want to say about 15 years ago, and I've never worn it. I think it was actually for sale on the website for a bit. It's got a little sterling silver clasp on there and some sterling silver findings, which I won't use today. I'm going to use the silver plated findings, but I'm going to cut this up because there's no point in it staying like in this state when it never gets worn. So I'm going to cut it up and we're going to use some of these gorgeous pearls. So tool wise, all I'm going to be using are just a basic toolkit. So I've got some cutters, some chain nose, some flat nose, some round nose, and some what are they, nylon jaw pliers. Now if Katie or Jem are watching, they might have a sneaky something to put up for you at some point, but I'll let them do that because they if you didn't know, they are affiliates for Relax and Crafts, so they have their own unique codes, that kind of thing. So if you are looking for something, always check out Katie Parker and Gem Hawks' codes to see if there's any on there that you can use to get extra money off. It's lovely and sunny in Oxfordshire, is it? Oh, Liz, that's really nice. Yeah, it's gone really grey at the minute over here, just a bit yucky. Right, let's crack this one open. So I've got headpins I can use, beads, everything else. So if that's a little bit, is that a little bit glary? Let me just turn down some of the brightness on that. That's better, isn't it? So in the finest packs, I've got a variety of different things. So what I think I'm going to do, and I was going to bring a piece of paper over here as well, just to make sure that to write down what I was going to do or draw what I was going to do, but I've forgotten it. But never mind. I think what I'm going to do is going to make a station necklace. Sorry if this camera keeps trying to track me. Why has it gone really, really bright? Come on, come back down. That's it. I'm using my DSLR camera. Oh, lovely, Fiona Potter's here. Oh, bless you. I love the new little boxes in a box. I'm organised. Yep. They are. They do keep you organised. And also you can just refill them when you want. Or you can, I have got some boxes that will go on the website tomorrow which are empty. So if you just want a box to put your own findings in, then you can do. And each box will come with some stickers as well. So you can write on the stickers and do it like that. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to cut up this. So let me just, I want to keep the clasp together. So I'm just going to cut that very first pearl away. Let me just move everything out of the way. Now I think I'm going to make a station necklace, some sort of station necklace with some chain. So I'm going to do sort of like a pearl with maybe an aquamarine either side, maybe a silver bead as well on there, and then make stations with it in between some chain. So Katie's put something up there, look. So this is Katie and Jem have got this wonderful little code for you, and it's the first time we've done anything like this, so again there may be some teething problems with the code, but just bear with us because we will sort it. But the code will work and everything else. I just have to make sure that Katie and Jem get the recognition for it. So yeah, if you want to share this live, that would be absolutely amazing if you can. If I can't see your name for any reason, it's because StreamYard has, you've not given StreamYard permission. So just above my head, somewhere up here, it will say to give StreamYard permission to use your name for me to see it. It's just because StreamYard is a third party, but it's the only way, well, that, and there's a couple of things, but it's the only way I can do two cameras like this so you can see what I'm doing and I can still talk to you, which I think is a bit easy, a bit nicer, isn't it? It's a bit nicer. You see my ugly mug. You poor things, on a Friday afternoon. So I've got a couple of pearls here, so let's just see what it's going to look like. So the first thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need some chain. So let's just get the chain out. And the chain that's in these finds packs is this gorgeous sort of like Rolo or Belcher chain, whichever name you know it as. And you've got 2 meters in here. If I can get to the end, there we go. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's just zoom you in just a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is have like a aquamarine, a pearl, come here, and then another aquamarine, and I think maybe I have got some rondelle beads, but I think I'm going to use some 4mm beads to start with. Let's have a little look. Let's see what that would look like. So this is sort of like, I think I quite like that. What do we think? Do we like that? Are we liking that kind of, oh, you've gone very pale. Hang on a minute, let me just get you back. There we go. I think that's quite nice. I quite like that kind of look. So let me just bring it a little bit more into shot. They're all going to roll everywhere. Come here. Come here, come here, come here. There we go. I mean, I could even, if I wanted to, put the 3mm beads on as well. So let me just get the 3mm beads out. Let's just see what that looks like. That's what's so nice about these little pots, that you can keep everything in there. You're not having to scrabble around for things. Yeah, I think that's quite nice, but it may be a little bit too silver when it's all on the wire. So I think the best thing to do is let's get some wire. If you've got any ideas, obviously let me know in the comments what you think. So this is 0.7 wire. I quite like 0.7 wire because it's quite forgiving, and you can do really nice wrap loops with it, or open loops if you wanted. So let's just have a little look what it's going to look like on the wire. Oh, my little sand timer's going nicely. It's so exciting. Is that going to fit on there? Ah, so I didn't think about that, did I? So maybe I need a 0.6 wire, which I will just have to go and find, or will some of them go on? Some of them are going to go on. We can work with that. Let me just take that off, and then we'll put our aquamarine on. There we go. I think I might be better with a 0.6 wire. Let me go and grab a 0.6 wire and I'll be back. 1 second. Let me just I'm back. I got the 0.6 wire. Let me just grab a reel of this. So this is just a really big reel of 0.6. Put that down there. Right then. Let's grab myself a little bit. What's everybody doing anyway? Is anybody else crafting along? What's Katie doing? A bit of laminating. Laminating as in, what do you mean, Katie? What do you mean laminating? What we're going to do is, why has that gone off? Oh, I've just pulled the cable out, that's why. 1 second, I've just put the cable back in. Is it back on? There we go. See, I told you there'd be teething problems. There always is when you start something new, isn't there? Right, let's get you back focused. Yeah, what's everybody doing? Paper laminating. Oh, that sounds interesting. I want to know more about paper laminating. I really like the sound of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to use that tray there just to keep everything in place. So let's try again. So I think I'm going to go for a 0.3 bead and then try the 0.4 next. But I think it might be a bit too silver. I think I might need something to break the silver up. Afternoon, Mandy, my love. Sadly, I'm working on my lunch break. Fee's needle felting another mushroom. Oh, amazing. I like needle felting. I find it very therapeutic. Yeah, I really like it. I haven't done any for ages. Let's have a look. I'm quite liking this. Always remember when you're making a graduated design and you've got a centre point like this to put the end beads on the right way around, because if not, it won't look nice. What do we think of that? I think that's quite nice. Erica's doing pyrography on some boxes for a local charity. Wow, what's Sarah doing? Putting together some of my polymer clay beads and finally making some jewellery pieces. Amazing, Sarah. Sarah is loving her polymer clay at the minute, aren't you, Sarah? You really are. You made some beautiful pieces. Right, so what do we think? Do we think that's a yay or a nay? Or should we try a different design? Shall we try? Let's get another piece of wire. And what we'll do is, this is how designing sort of like happens anyway, doesn't it? I've lost the piece of wire that I was using. Where's the thin bit? There we are. Let me get another bit and we'll make a different sort of like look to it. So again, I think we're going to start with, I think this one I'll start with a 4mm bead. Little bit obsessed, you've gone down a rabbit hole. But it's easily done, isn't it? Really easily done. So I'm going to start with a 4mm bead this time, and I'm going to place on my aquamarine, and then I'm going to go to a 3mm bead. I did want to try and get my nails done before I did this live, because they're looking a bit sorry for themselves, but I just didn't have time. So apologies for my dodgy hands. Come here, where's the hole? There we go. So I think, so gone 4, 6. Why have you gone blurry? Come on, let's just focus. Let's play the game. There we go. So gone 4, 6, 3, and then I'm going to take my pearl. These pearls are so old. They must be 10 years old. These, well, no, more than that. I'm sure I made this necklace about 10 years ago. See, straight away I'm thinking, no, this is not looking as nice. It's looking too bitty, if you know what I mean. The blue shows up really well next to the pearl. It does, doesn't it? And I think by putting that silver bead next to it, Pauline, I think I've taken that away, haven't I? I've made it a little bit too like spaced out. I'll hold them up for you. Let's have a little look what we. So yeah, that's the second option. So that's option number 2. Yeah, I think so. That was the first option, and that's the second option. What do we think? Do we think first option or second option? Let's have a little look here. Let's see how close we can get them before they come out of focus. You preferred it before? Yeah, I think I do. Anybody else? Anybody else definitely prefer the first one? Yeah, I think so do I. I don't know why this is washing out like this. Let's just see if I can alter those lights a little bit. Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, first one. Right, we're going to go with the first one. But that's okay because we've not sort of like used anything, have we? Ignore the what the camera's trying to do. I don't know what it's up to. So let's just take those off and let's start then making this piece. So what I want to do is I'm going to put a wrap loop on either end, but I want to attach it straight into the chain. If I wanted to be able to move these and sort of like do them in different, hi Carol love, how are you? If I wanted to be able to sort of like take these sections in and out for different colorways, say, then what I would probably do is, now it's gone too, does it look all right? The color look a little bit funny, or does it look all right? I'm just trying to get it so that it sort of like you can see it properly. I think you can see it properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap loop this straight onto my chain. Now this chain has got a really good link to it, end link, so you can see that that goes through there really, really well, and it's still got movement on there. I don't like wrap loop chains where the wire is as thick as the link that it's going in, because I think it makes it really, really static. So I think I'm going to just go with this chain, go with a 0.6, and I'm not going to use a jump ring to sort of like connect the two together. If you wanted to make everything up separately, like make all these little sections up, then you can definitely just get a jump ring and, you know, connect them together afterwards. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go straight in with my round nose pliers and wrap this straight onto there. So let me just, I'm just going to put a bend in that wire so that they don't fall off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this end of my wire here. So like in an ideal world, we wouldn't have put all those beads on, but we had to check the design anyway. So we just, you know, we're checking our design. And what you've got to remember is we're never doing this because we want to race through making a design. The design process is the nicest part of it. So take your time, you know, just have a little play with a design, see what it looks like. Some people can draw and they will be able to draw their piece straight away, and you'll be able to see straight away, yep, that's what I want. Some people like me that can't draw have to play about with the beads in front of you, and I think that can make you more of a more creative when you're doing that, rather than trying to draw it out. But that is just me personally. That's not a hard and fast rule. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down so that I've got about 1.5 inches of right, those beads are going to come off the end. That's okay, we can just pop them there. We can pop them on in a minute. So what I'm going to do is come down about 1.5 inches, and I'm using the right at the very end of my pliers, because I don't want the loop that I'm going to make in this wrap loop to be really any bigger than the last link on the chain. So you can see if I put that link on my pliers, you can see roughly where it's going to be, and that will give you a really good guide to see how big that loop has to be so it looks in keeping with the rest of the design. So if I was to go right down here, the loop would be bigger than the chain, so you'll be able to see that connection point. Again, that can be a really nice design feature, but I want to be as close to it as I possibly can so that I don't see any sort of like join between them. Now I do have to go just a slight, like 0.1 of a millimeter down a little bit further, because I have to take into consideration the depth of the wire that's making the chain as well, so that I've still got movement on that chain. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to go down to roughly about there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push that wire away make it nice and straight. Push that wire away, and then I'm going to lift my pliers on so that they're now vertical. So I've got this top jaw here to wrap around. I'm going to bring my wire all the way across till it can't go any further because this is in the way, and push it down, and then flipping my pliers upright, I've now got this bottom jaw. So we're always looking for something to wrap against and wrap around so that we don't stop where we don't distort this loop. And now this wire I'm going to take behind the first bit. So I'm now just going to straighten everything out. So what I've done is I've just taken that wire behind. So this is the stalk, this is the piece of wire that they're all sitting on. So the wire's gone behind. And now I can just take that out and just make sure that the loop that I've made is okay. So it's not wrapped, it's not closed off yet. Why are you not focusing? Come on, let's get you focusing. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Focus, focus, focus. There. So the wire's now gone behind. Now what I can do is I can take my chain, I can thread the chain onto this little bit here. I'm going to take my chain and I'm just going to thread it on. Now sometimes you might just have to open it a little bit just to get that chain to sit in. But can you see now how, I'm just going to squeeze that back together so I don't lose the chain on there, how that loop and the chain are roughly the same size. Yeah, you can see that okay, can't you? I'm getting really close to the camera because I'm trying to see. Don't go close to the camera, Fleur. Right, so that's now in place. So my loop is a nice shape. I'm going to make sure that that stems nicely straight so that my beads will stay straight. Now you can at this point use something like your nylon pliers just to make sure that that's lovely and straight, which it is. Right, I'm just going to switch this over because I am right-handed, so I hold everything better in my right hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm just holding on to that loop. So I'm holding the loop, the chain's at the back, and then using my hands, or if you want to use your chain nose pliers on the edge of the piece of the tail end of the wire. So if you wanted to, you could take your chain nose pliers and hold. And then all we're going to do is going to wrap this around. Let me just keep, if it goes, see, I'm not used to doing it with my pliers, I'm better off with my hands. So I'm just going to wrap it around 2 or 3 times, like so. And I push that right up, and you can actually use those beads to push that connection together. And you can see there now that we've got that lovely wrap loop. We've got our loop that's the same size as the chain, so it's quite a nice seamless transition down into there. Now if you were a little bit unsure about how many loops you wanted, how many wraps are on either side, or if you're new to wire wrapping your loops, just leave that little bit on because you can adjust how many wraps you do there. But I'm going to cut this off just so you can see it a little bit better. So just taking my cutters, I'm going to cut that off. When we use it, when we're using our cutters, we put the back of our cutters to what we're cutting away. That means we get that nice semi-flush cut to our wire. Right, before I go on any further, when you're doing a repetitive, what's it called, design, sometimes you forget that you've got to carry on repeating it. So I just took those last 2 beads off. So I'm going to pop them back on now. So let me just pop those on. Oh, it's gone in the little thing. There we go. I pop those back on. So I've now got my little station, and I've just noticed that that piece of wire is just sticking up just a little tiny bit. So before I do anything, because these aren't close to it now, I can just move that down, and I'm just going to nip that in a little bit more, just so it's not scratchy or anything like that. And this is 0.6 wire, so it is very forgiving. There we go. And just pop that all the way back down. and straighten that piece of wire out at the end. So that's what I've got so far. Right, you will notice over the weeks that I am a very messy crafter, and if there's things in the way that you can't see the screen, just let me know and I'll move it all for you. So that's my design. I think it's really, really beautiful. But again, if I'm not sure at this point, I can still take them off and I can still rearrange it, because these aren't like set on there yet. But what I do need to do is I need to make sure that I know how much chain I want in between each length. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use about that much chain in between each one. What do we think? Maybe a little bit more. We want the chain, we want these sections to be like the focus, but because they're quite long sections, what we don't want is them to be too static. So if you can imagine, that is going to be quite static when it's worn. So I think a nice bit of length of chain in between will help the movement of this chain. So I think I'm going to go to that one there and I'm going to cut that away. And you could do them all random. That'd look really nice, like random lengths of chain and random gemstones as well. So I've got my bit of chain here. Now, before I go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure another bit of chain. Now, if you wanted to measure your chain to start with and then cut it off accordingly, then obviously you can do that as well. But I'm just going to quickly just eyeball that and just cut that away. So now I've got a guide length of chain that I'm always going to use, and I've got this piece that's on here. So before I go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut myself 2 or 3 of these pieces of chain. Now, a really, really great way of cutting chain is to place it onto a piece of wire. Place one end of your cut piece onto a piece of wire. Take your continuous piece, and you can either lay it down or lift it up, but I'll just show you laying down. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up and then just cut it, and then you can see exactly the length. So can you, ooh, you can't see a note there, can you? There you go. So you can see now it's nice and straight and together, so I can even just pop it together, bring it down, almost zip it up so I can see the length, and I can see where the last link is, so I can cut the link underneath. And then I always cut, if I think I'm around like going to be 1 or 2 short, I always cut it slightly longer, just so that you can always just like nibble away and get it a little bit easier, a little bit closer. Try double the length of the section, maybe. That would be a good idea, Katie. Yeah, and I bet, let's have a look. I wonder if the design gods have already, no, it's not, it's what have you said, double? No, I bet it's 1.5 at the minute, but double would be lovely. But I'm in it now, Katie. I've cut them. But if you have cut, you know, if you want to change it, then you can do, because you could have a shorter one at the back with a clasp on it and then go to your longer ones if you wanted. So yeah, there's lots and lots and lots of different designs and sort of like ways to start designing, and then it's ever evolving. I suppose that if you ever spoke to artists or some of the great artists that's been in the world, their masterpieces probably didn't start out how they wanted it to start out. They probably evolved as they were making it. But as long as I've got 3 pieces here now, but as long as I just keep one of those pieces as a guide, then I don't have to cut all my pieces, because I might want to change my mind halfway through. I might want to think, actually, I'm going to put something else in there. I'm going to put longer pieces of chain in there. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut 3. So I've got 2 here, one that I'm going to use, and then when I've used those 2 up, I can cut another 2. That way I'm not cutting all my chain up and then not using it, and then it's cut up into sections that I can't be used for this design. It can be used for other designs. So let's now do the other side. So let's take this little section here, and let's take our round nose pliers, and I'm just going to place that in. Now what we have to make sure is that our loop is going to face the correct way. So we need this loop to be portrait. So if I just turn it like that, you can see the loop itself there. So that's landscape because you can see the round. We want it portrait. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down. We're going to make sure that that loop is pointing portrait, so I can only see the side of it. And we're going to start again. This time my pliers are right above that last bead. So they're going to be exactly the same part of the pliers as well. So I'm not going to make it any bigger or smaller because I want everything to be the same. Now, if you've got things like bail making pliers, that kind of thing, then obviously you can use your bail making pliers because then you've got a definite size that's going to be the same every single time. Where with these, you don't, but you can mark it, put a little bit mark on there so you know which size you want to go for. But let's just make our wrap loop again. So turning it over, pushing it onto a 45-degree angle, turning my pliers the right way around, bringing my wire all the way across till it can't go any further, and I'm stuck. So when you get to this point and you're stuck, you have to flip your pliers upright, and then this is where we take that end of the wire behind. Okay, so I'm just making sure that everything's nice and straight. And I'm going to take that out. I've got my little loop there, so you can see the little loop. Before I go any further, taking my chain, I'm going to place that on, and again I might just have to push that apart a little bit. All I'm doing is just opening that angle at the back there. Can you see? All I've done is just to open that little angle there at the back, and by opening that angle it's just allowed that chain to slip on. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers, you can take your chain nose pliers to hold it, whatever pliers you've got, and then I'm going to start to wrap again, wrap around, making sure that it's just pushing those beads nice and secure so they've got no wiggle room on them. And that's my 3 wraps like I did last time. If you need to, you can go in and just alter a little bit of that shape of that, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is take my chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to, oh no, they're my flat nose, ignore me, I want chain nose, there we go. I'm just going to push that last loop in a little bit. So if you want it to be a little bit more tighter so that nothing's going to move, what we're going to do is we just push in that last loop around a little bit more. And so we've got our little section, so we can see that. I don't know why the light's gone a little bit funny, not a clue. I will try and I'll sort that out for next time, don't worry. Just make sure that my wire inside, because this is a wire that's going through here, so it will still have flex in it. Just make sure that it's nice and straight. And again, I'm going to take my cutters, placing the back of the cutters next to the piece of wire that I want to cut, and I'm just going to trim that away. And then taking my chain nose pliers again, just pushing that in a little bit. And there we've got our first section. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do another one. So let me just see, what you'll do when you've got time is you will make sure that everything is nicely pushed in. I'm just gonna just get that a little bit neater. There we go. Yeah. So far so good. I mean, if you wanted to, that would make a beautiful bracelet, wouldn't it? That would make a really nice bracelet. And again, because you've got that little bit of wire in there, you can sort of like arch it a little bit. So if you wanted to make it into a bracelet, you could just give it a slight bend so it sits nicely on your wrist. I really like that. So far so good, everybody. We're enjoying our little watch fleur craft. I hope you are. I'm really enjoying myself. So now I've got my next piece of wire, and I think, is this the 0. I think this is the 0.7. Yeah, because the pearl won't go on it. So let me get a little bit more 0.8, sorry, 0.6. Now, I'm not a wire worker at all. And I do know like what kind of wires work for what pieces. But if you want proper wire workers to follow and to watch, then watch Katie Parker, watch Gem Hawks. They both do free tutorials on YouTube, and they're both amazing at what they do. And they will be able to tell you all the different gauges and what it's used for. But in my basic understanding, something like a 0.5, 0.6 to 0.8 is good for your wire wrapping, for your wrap loops, sorry. And like 0.8 to 1.2 is good for your open loops, so the ones that like an eye pin loop. I always try and use like a 0.6 or a 0.7, but that, as we've just seen, is dictated by one of your elements. If your element won't go on there, like your pearl, then there is no point in trying to persevere, because what you'll do, if you try and push like a pearl onto a 0.7 wire, all you're going to do is strip the wire, which is no good. Right, so let's do the next one. So I can take my piece of wire, and I don't have to put any beads onto this. I'm just going to put the wrap loop onto it and then just wrap it straight into the chain. Now, sometimes if you've got really heavy beads, it's really difficult to keep picking this up because it's weighted all the time. So that's where you would make all your elements and then do your jump rings to connect them all together. But as it is at the minute, this isn't going to be too heavy because they're not very heavy, these pieces. Right, let's do exactly the same then. So like I say, I'm going to just go down a little bit more. So I've got my piece of wire at the top, so it's just now going to be rinse and repeat, I suppose. So I'm just going to bring that around. So I'm going to make sure that my loop is, it's this point that you've got to make sure that your loop is nice and round. So you can see it's hugging that bottom jaw of that plier. So if your pliers are nice and round, this will be nice and round. So I'm going to take that out, just make sure that, yeah, that's okay. So it's like a lollipop rather than a letter P. Now I'm going to take this end of the chain, just one of the ends that's already on there, open that up just a little bit, just so it can slip that last link through. That's the link in place now. Take my pliers and just hold that nice and still. Now when I'm wrapping my wrap loops, I always wrap up towards sort of like the pliers themselves. So just make sure that when you're wrapping that you always wrap towards there, and we're going to do exactly the same amount of wraps, because there's nothing worse in a continuous design if the loops are all sort of like out of different sizes and different loops, different amount of wraps on there as well. So try and keep it as consistent as you can, and that will really help sort of like have that beautiful professional looking piece, which is what we all want to, you know, we all want to create beautiful pieces of jewelry. Whether you want to sell them or not, it's still nice to have that pride in your work, that everything is really beautiful. So let's now just load up this one. So started with a 3 mil, started with a thrill. Oh, Fleur. Hi, Jill, love. See, Jill, it's your fault. You've come in and I started talking absolute rubbish again. But I haven't said cabochite yet, which I did do on a live just before Christmas. So I've got my first 2 beads on. If anybody's watching this that's never seen me before, they're probably thinking, what the bloody hell is she on about? Right, so let's get a lovely pearl. We've got our, actually I'm going to use this pearl here because this one's a nice one. And when we're doing things like it's always your fault. Not always, my darling, not always. But sometimes. What we can do, because we're using just single pearls, we can like really look for those nice, either a coloured pearl or a pearl with nice skin, or a pearl with like unusual characteristics. You know, so you can just look at what you've got and just think, actually, that'd be really nice, because they're showcased so beautifully, and the blue really sets off. And I can't remember, was it Pauline that said earlier, the blue is really sort of like popping next to that gorgeous aquamarine, pearl, and you know they both have that kind of water sort of like connotations that go with them, don't they? So maybe they are designed just to be together. They want to be together. But yeah, if anybody could share the live into anywhere that you think would like to just come along and craft along with us. And if any, what's everybody else? How's your crafting going? Is everybody crafting along? Katie, how's your laminating going? Is that going all right? Are you laminating it with a laminator? Because I love doing laminating like that kind of thing. That's when it gets really warm and you try and pull it through a little bit too quick. That's what I love doing. That I've got a laminator, and I or are you laminating things for craft, or is it for your workshop tomorrow? Katie, what's your workshop tomorrow? Let us know what your workshop is, because I'm nosy, you know I am. What are you doing on your workshop? What time does it start? And have you got any places left? So I'm just doing my wrap loop on this side. Katie Parker, Halo. Oh, Jill's on your workshop tomorrow. Jill, what are you doing on the workshop? Come on, we all want to know. Don't keep us all in suspenders. Let us know what you're doing on the workshop. Right, so this is where, when you're crafting, you have to be very careful when you're talking and crafting, because I very nearly wrapped that loop up, which would have been a bit of an issue because I haven't put the chain on. So just keep making sure that you think about what you're doing next. So before I go any further, let's get that chain put on. There we go. What's Kate doing? Why work for beginners? You're feeding the toddlers. Oh, Marge, that's all right, my love. That's absolutely fine. You're here now, my darling. Should we have a quick check-in with the egg timer? So I think we're halfway there. It's quite a nice visual aid, actually. I think that just to see, actually, I've got all this time that's just for me. Looking forward to. Oh, Pauline's doing it as well. Booking too close to this one, but I'm currently working on a wrap cabochon workshop for March. Oh, very nice. Jill's still in bed, so no. Found my elf weave kit. Oh, elf weave's lovely. I love elf weave. So elf weave is part of a really fabulous sort of like trilogy, and I can't remember. So when you put two together, one's Tiffany and one's Elfbridge. No, Elfbridge is the with the sides on it. It's Tiffany, and there's another one, but they're absolutely gorgeous weaves. I really love them, and I love the way that it's made as well, elf weave. So you go from the front to the back, front and back, front and back. So Katie's got Pauline on there and Jill as well. Anybody else on Katie's workshop tomorrow? Oh, that's going to be so lovely. Saturday morning, just sitting down and having a little learn on your wire wrapping. I should do one of these workshops, Katie. Definitely should, because my wire wrapping skills, although I did manage to do Katie's tutorial from the December Relax and Craft box. Oh, the camera's just gone off. I think was it just, oh no, it's back on. It's fine. It just timed out. That's fine. I thought the battery had gone then. I was like, oh no, don't let the battery go. Right, so let me just cut this bit away. Yeah, I did manage to do Katie's tutorial from December, the netted technique. I really like it as well. I'll show you if I can put my hands on it quickly. You have to come and join us. I will. So there we go. Look, so there's another one in place. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on making this necklace. So do you want me to carry on making the necklace, or should we design some earrings to go with it? What should we do? You tell me. Shall we carry on with this, or shall we make some earrings? Let me just. What do you think? Do you think we should carry on? Or do you think we should earrings? Right, so I'll carry on making that, and I'm going to show you, I'll put pictures up later of what I've done, but that's actually quite a long piece already, so I don't think we're going to need too many stations, are we? But look how that sits. And then what you can do is just, if you hold it up, you can just straighten everything out, just make sure that everything's sitting beautifully. I think that's really lovely. I like that. Now what you need to do with a design like this is you need to make a decision whether you want this to be in the center, so you're going to have something on it, so the center section has like a plain piece of chain, or we could always put like a drop on there as well. So you could put a, let's just grab a head pin really quickly and then we'll get on to some earrings. What we could do is we could replicate this design on, let me just see what it's going to look like. If I put on the pearl, so I'm just, so this will go with the earring as well. Let me just have a, let's just have a quick look at what it's going to look like on a head pin. You know, just to have a drop, and then we can emulate that in the earring as well. I think that would be quite nice in the earring. So just because when you've got a straight bar like this, what you don't want is that will sit nicely at the sort of like the nape of your neck, but it's static, it's quite rigid, so it can put the rest of the necklace off of balance, if you like. But to have like a natural point and have these then going around the side of the neckline, and then just have either a, you know, you could have had a wire wrap pendant, something like that on there. So I think what I'm making the earrings, I'm going to make in the middle of this necklace as well. So let's think about earrings then. So for me, when I think about earrings, I always think about like how people are going to wear them. So the first thing is, what kind of earring findings have you got? And I've got shepherd hooks in here. So we're straight away going to have some dangly earrings. So let's just get one of those out. Got some head pins. Head pins are 0.6, so exactly the same wire, so the pearls will go on absolutely perfectly. We could either just go with a pearl. We could have a mismatch. We could let's have a little think. Let's see if, what size was that? That was a 3mm, wasn't it? Let's go with a 4mm, a 4mm bead. Let's just move all that out of the way. Let's just go with a 4mm bead, and then let's put on a shepherd's aquamarine. Now I think, and Katie always mentions this when she does her short chain drop. Perfect, Katie, we'll do a short chain drop. Katie always says when she does her unboxings about the head pins that I always use. So the head pins that I use are flat head pins. This means that whatever you put them with, they're going to sit flush to the bottom. So they're not going to be a feature, they're more of a mechanic. Okay, so they're a mechanism or a holding, a finding for your earring, rather than a design. So sometimes you can get head pins with like beads on the end, sometimes you can get them with like really fancy sort of like ends, but with these ones they're flat, so it means that they go completely flat against the end of the bead and are hidden, so they become more of a like I say, more of just a mechanism to connect together. So let's just pop on something. Let's have a little look, because we don't want, if we're going to put a chain on it, what we don't want is, we don't want it to be too long, and we want the bulk of it, so the chain's going to be quite fine, so we want the bulk of it maybe at the bottom. So let's just switch this design around. Let's just see what it looks like the other way around. So let's just pop the pearl on first, and then the aquamarine. what we could do, if we've got pink and red hair like I have, we could be quirky and we could do one way and one the other. But that plays with my brain too much. Now sometimes when I see earrings like this, it makes me think of those of like snowmen. So I don't know, what do you think? Do you think all 4 of them, or should we go for just the 3 onto a drop? What do you think? Or should we not have an aquamarine in? Should we have a 4mm or hang on a minute, let's go 3, 4 and then pearl. So let's do 3 4s rolled away, 3 4 and then the pearl, and then a 4 and then a 3. And I think this then frames that pearl really beautifully, because you've got like a very elegant design, sort of like coming down into a piece and then up. Oh, a double drop at different levels. Yeah, we could do that. So I think that's a really nice one. I really like that kind of design. So if we were to place that there, let's get our chain back again. So now we have to think about the length. If we're going to do a double length, we don't need very much chain. Let's have a little, because that's going to be very, very long. Because we've got this bit's quite long now. Pearl, aquamarine, 4, then 3. Right, so you want me to take these 2 off the bottom, Katie? Let me just get another head pin and we'll try it on another head pin. So Katie wants a pearl, aquamarine, and then a 4mm bead and a 3mm bead. Let's have a little look. So that's what, so we've got two different designs there. And if we were going to go with Jill's, what I would do with Jill's one is do a 4mm and pearl on one side of the drop and 3 and aquamarine on the other. Pearl, aquamarine, yeah. So is that, so which one do we think? Which one are we going to go for, do we think? And then just some chain as well. Or should we try the double? Should we try the double one? Let me know. Should we try the double chain at different lengths, or shall we try something else? You tell me. What do you want to see? Because I think these 2 are beautiful. I mean, this one, both of these you could just put straight onto the shepherd's hook. You wouldn't need much chain at all, but the chain would give it beautiful movement as well. What we could do is we could make them, couldn't we? Should we make them and see? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make both of these. I'm going to make Jill's one as well. So they're the 3 that I'm going to make. So let's, what I might do is, no, I'm going to do wrap loops. I'm just going to take a little tiny piece of chain, because we can alter the chain length. So all I'm going to do is take a little tiny piece, and where's my piece of wire? I'm going to take another one the same length, because then we can use the chain for whichever design we want. And then we're going to do Jill's design as well. That one to there. So they're my 2 pieces of chain for these 2. Right, let's just put all that. See, I told you I was a messy crafter. Right, let's have a little look. I've got round nose pliers. So I'm just going to do a wrap loop exactly the same on these ones, but not forgetting that we need to put our little piece of chain on before we go too quick and forget the chain. But if that was the case, then don't worry, because we can soon use a jump ring. Let's just bring that round. So these head pins are a little bit more work hardened than a normal 0.6 wire. That's what I was thinking, put a pearl on one drop, and then the others with it. Yeah, we're going to do that in a second then for you, Jill, and we'll see which pair of earrings we like the best. Because the only thing that we're going to sort of like lose is a head pin. But what we can do is, if you were designing this for somebody, maybe for a wedding or something like, you could make 3 pairs of earrings and give them options so that you've got different earrings to go with different designs or dresses or whatever the person's wearing. So I always think it's nice to have a couple of pairs of earrings to go with a design that you can like swap and change to. So then what we need to do, so that's one, let's just pop on an earring findings. If you've never used these kind of earring findings before, you've got that little loop at the bottom there. Let me just bring that, come on, focus, there we go. So we can see we've got a loop at the bottom, and that loop is open just here. So as you would open and close a jump ring, we're going to place our pliers at the back, and the loop's always at the back of the earring, so it's always towards the little hook. And I'm just going to open that up, and let's just place that over the top and close that back up. So that is one design, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them in. Let's have a little look. What do we think of this one? So that is our first one. Absolutely gorgeous. I love that one. Let's do Katie's one now. So I've got the same length chain, because whichever one we want to choose, we can make just the other earring to match, and maybe use this one on as the middle for our necklace, or this one for the middle of our necklace, whichever one we're going to use. Right, let's go for our round nose pliers again. So this one, again, we're going to do our wrap loop, and these don't have a front or a back to them because we've got spherical, well, as near as, damn it, spherical beads. There we go. So we've got our loop. Let me just zoom you in a little bit so you can see a bit better. Now you do have to shout at me if I take it out of shot, because when it's zoomed in, I do have to lean forward a little bit more. So there we go. Let's just make sure that that's nicely round. So bringing that round, I'm just going to use my chain nose just to help bring that round. Like I say, the head pins tend to be a little bit more work hardened. Ooh, and if you slip off a bit like that. There we go. So let's just give that a little cut. And what I'll do when I'm going to finish all these pieces off properly, I'll just go make sure that everything's nipped in nicely so that nothing is nothing's out of the way. Right, so we need another shepherd tuck. So in the kits, in these findings kits, you get 10 pairs of shepherd tucks. So you've got plenty to have a little play with if you wanted to make some different designs. I haven't opened that wide enough. Try not to open them too wide because we don't want to stress the metal, but you do need to have it wide enough to be able to pop that over the top. Oh, Fleur, what's wrong with you? Hang on a minute. Come here. There we go. And then place that down. When you place it down, just push it next to the stalk bit there, just so it's not an open gap. Earrings don't tend to fall out this way because their gravity's pulling them down in your ear. So let me try this one on. Oh, that one's nice as well, isn't it? And I think with the length of chain, with the length of my hair, you can still see the earring, so it's really nice to be able to still see that earring without it being too sort of like long. So you can have them as long as you want. They're called shoulder duster earrings when they're really long. So far that's our 2 designs. Oh, come on, there we go. So we've got 2 designs. Right, let's do the 3rd design. And what I'm going to do is take a piece of chain. Now, the way that I like to do graduated or different length drops is I take a piece of chain and I just roughly see where they would be, and I think that length's going to be fine. You can be all you can really measure it, but what I would do is, before we go any further, definitely take the second one exactly the same, or it's going to be a nightmare to match it up. So let's just get another piece exactly the same. That one there. So we've got 2 pieces of chain the same length. All these little bits flying everywhere. Right, so let's get our head pins. So what I like to do with these kind of earrings, the way I make them, is get my 2 head pins. So Jill, just remind me, you wanted a pearl. Actually, I'll use this pearl here. A pearl and then the 4mm on one side, and then an aquamarine and a 3mm on the other side. So let's just bob that on. So that's one. And then let's just do the aquamarine and a 3mm on this side. So they're the 2 drops. Perfect. Then what we can do is we take our round nose pliers. Let's just do our, you could either do wrap loops or open loops if you want, but I'm just going to do wrap loops again, just because I find them easier to get. Like, oh no, flirt, see, I've wrapped that. Naughty, I haven't put the chain on. So, but that's fine. It's not a problem just yet. We noticed before we wrapped, so that's okay. Right, chain's gone on. Holding my loop, let's just wrap this down. Wrapping that all the way down, making sure that's nice and straight. I'm going to trim that away. Like I say, the finishing pieces I will do properly. I'll like tucking everything in just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we'll do this one on this side. Same size loop, so using the same part of my round nose pliers. Round it goes again. Before we go any further, putting that chain on. And this is the way that I like to do these kind of drops, if you've only got 2 drops, just because it's easier then to see how long each part of the chain is going to be, and your chain is a continuous piece, and we don't have to use a jump ring to then connect it to our finding. Let's just nip that in a little bit more, just get the chain nose pliers. So chain nose pliers for this kind of thing are absolutely invaluable. They really are. You've done it so many times with doing your rosary links. Yeah, just forgot to put the next bit on. You're like, oh no. And then what we can do is we can then lay it down, and we can see at what length. Oh, if we laid it down in shot, that'd be even better. We can then see what length we want. Now, if we decide that actually we've got too much, then what we can do is we can cut our chain now and sort of like make it the right length. But I think that that's quite a nice, that's going to sit nicely together. So let's get an earring finding. And again, with this way, you can change them. Because you just move it along, so you can say, actually, if you pick it up, you put it in the slot in the link that you want. So are they too close together? If they're too close together, what we can do is we can just move it along to the next one and just say, actually, I want the aquamarine to be a little bit shorter. You might want them the same length. So again, we've got them. That to me now is too big a difference, so we can move it back. I quite like this one. It's a great little tips area because it just means that you're not cutting loads and loads of chain into pieces that you might not like in the end, and then you're going to go, oh, I didn't like it like that. What you do have to make sure of when you are doing this, and I'll just close this up so I don't lose where I am. So what you want is, we want the aquamarine to sit on the inside and the pearl to sit on the outside, so it frames the face. So what I mean is, like, this is a left hand earring because it's going to frame, the aquamarine is going to sit closer to my face than the pearl. I don't know if you can see that okay. And then when you do the other side, just make sure that the aquamarine is the shorter one on the inside and the pearl is the nicer one on the outside. So we've got 3 different designs. So I haven't got 3 ears, unfortunately. God didn't bless me. So I'll have to hold them up like this. So you can see how each one is really beautiful in its own. Let me just get that to focus. Oh, I should have put them that way around, Fleur. Honestly. There we go. And because they're round, they're going to roll around. But again, let me get that to focus a little bit better. There we go. I just need to have a little play with these lights just to make sure that they're not too bright. There we go. So we've got 3 different styles of earring, and then this is the necklace that we're making. Let me just zoom you out a little bit. And I should remember that that's my chain length for my earring, and that's my chain length for my necklace. So far, in an hour, we've done quite a bit. My egg timer is finished. So we've managed to craft for an hour. And look what we've made. We've made 3 different prototype earrings, but I'm going to make each one of these into a pair because I love them all. And we've got our necklace started, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bracelet as well. You wouldn't like to choose a left ear, right ear, and wild front ear. A wild front ear. That is. Oh, Jill, you woke up in a good one today, love. You woke up in a good one. That's brilliant. I'm going with that one. Are you getting a slight echo on the side? Yeah, I will get that sorted. It's just it's going to be a bit of a nightmare for the moment. I was supposed to get a lapel mic, not like a lapel mic, and it was supposed to get here yesterday, but Amazon have let me down. But yeah, so I'm glad you enjoyed just watching a little bit of it, of the design process. I will carry on making, and like you say, we've used very few. I mean, I think to get a necklace, I think I'm going to do another 1, 2. But I bet if I just did another 3 of these sections, that's going to be plenty for a necklace. And then just to quickly finish it off, just to show you how I would attach the clasp. So in my box of clasps here, oh, it's upside down, I do have a magnetic clasp in there, so I could use the magnet if I wanted to. If you are using with magnets, please don't use them if you're making for yourself, if you've got a pacemaker or you're selling it, just make sure everybody knows it's got a magnet in it. But yeah, all I would do is take one of my clasps, a couple of my jump rings. Ooh, come here. Open sesame. There we go. Fleur, at some stage, could you show us how to finish the necklace off, please? Yeah, just doing that now, Saba, my darling. How are you, my love? Are you good? I hope you are. So I'm going to use just 2 of my jump rings, and I'll just pretend that this is the end. We just let's pretend for a moment that we've finished this piece. I will finish it in a second, but you don't want to sit and watch me make another couple of those pieces. So let me just show you how I would finish it. So taking your jump ring. When we're using any jump rings, we're using 2 pairs of pliers. Please don't use your round nose pliers because they're going to slip and you're going to mark them. Where's the best place to get the magnetic clasps? So it depends on what material you're looking for. You've got places like Chronocraft, Cooks and Gold, Curious Gem, all those have lovely magnetic clasps. You get 1 magnetic clasp in the box that I've got on the website. So if it's that kind of one that you're looking for, like the ball clasps, then that's on there as well. Where else? Oh, Burhouse beads. There is quite a few different places where you'll be able to get magnetic clasps. What I would say is always buy them from the UK. Don't buy them from abroad unless they state that they are definitely nickel, lead and cadmium free, because if they're not, then they're not going to comply with our trading standards, because all those metals are not allowed in the UK to be used in jewellery. So if you are, just make sure that you are getting them from a reputable place so that they don't have those nasty things in them, because nickel's not a nice thing, or lead or cadmium to be in anything that you're wearing. Right, so when we're putting a clasp onto a necklace, what we need to think is, if this necklace has got like a design which has to go, let's say, from right to left. So let's say the pendant is like wire wrapped in place and the chain's coming off of it. What we have to make sure is that most people are right-handed, so they would use their right hand to open and close the clasp. So the mechanism of opening and closing the clasp, which is your clasp part, is more likely going to be in the right hand rather than the left hand. So always keep that in mind. If you've got a piece, this one, it doesn't matter because it will go, it doesn't matter if it's front or back. There is no front and back to it. So just have that in mind if you are making something that has an actual front to it, or a design that has to sit facing forward, that the clasp is in the right. If somebody's left-handed and they're at your craft stand, then you can quickly switch it over. That's not a problem at all. But I would say always go with the right hand, which is, you shouldn't do, because you can't sort of like expect everybody to be able to use the right hand, but most left-handed people have learned how to put jewelry on with their right hand and use that clasp. So yeah, just have that in mind. So I've got that jump ring in that last link, and I'm going to place on my clasp. So that's just going to go through the little loop at the bottom, and then close this one up. And then all I'm going to do is take my other jump ring and then open that up, and I'm going to place it onto the end of that piece of chain. And again, we're not using hula hoop size jump rings, we're using small jump rings so that it's nice and in keeping. So if for any reason this piece swung around to the front, we can see that it's not going to be sort of like in your face. Are you not well? Oh, bless you, Saba. Would be good design for Mother's Day, Miss Man. Ah, that's really sad, my love. Yeah, if you can, even if you just enjoy just watching people craft like this, Saba, as well, that can be a nice sort of like thing to just sit and watch as well. But yeah, one day you'll be able to start again, my love, one day. So that is all we're gonna make today. Let me just switch this back around. Oh, there I am. Take those glasses off because they're thingy in the thing, aren't they? So now I've got 2 ears on a bigger screen. Let's just try some of these earrings on. So let's put one in. Oh, my blusher looks a little bit savage. God. So we've got, which one's this one? Can't see. Oh, that's the one where they're all going down in size, and this is the pearl one. And then I'll try on the drop one as well, because I haven't got a front ear. It's going to have to be in this ear again. Oh, I don't know if, actually, ow. No, don't try and put it through a piercing that's not being used in donkey's years fleur. There we go. So that's our drop. And then if we just imagine our necklace as well. What a lovely sweet jewellery that's going to be. I can't wait to finish it off and wear it at Cheltenham. I'll get some pictures for you all. I don't know which earrings I'm going to wear yet, but I'm going to make them all up now. And just so, even if this weekend you just grab some gemstones, maybe watch this back, maybe make a station necklace like that. I just hope it might have inspired some of you to have a little go. Well, I'm just going to say goodbye. I'm just going to tidy some of these things away before I carry on making, because I don't want it to knock everything off, because that would be terrible. Oh, the chain's going everywhere. So what I'll do for next week is I will sort out the audio better. Don't worry about that. I'll get that sorted. There are still some of these on the website if everybody wants a silver plated findings pack. There are some on the website, as well as the elastic, that kind of thing. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me for the hour. We've gone a little bit over. It's nearly an hour and a half, but hey ho, that's fine. You had a chance to make plans to make a spectacle chain. Do we use acrylic lightweight beads or tiny crystals? But you could use whatever you wanted, Saba love. You could use whatever ones you wanted. It wouldn't really matter. You don't want them too heavy because they would pull down and then pull on the bridge of your nose. But yeah, have a little go. Have a little go. Probably, like you say, like a lightweight or a tiny crystal one, because they would just sparkle. You'd only need them in this pot here, wouldn't you? Can't wait to see that. Have a little go. Get your pliers out. Have a little go. Even if you just do a few sections a day, you know, it's still going to be a beautiful piece when it's finished. Right. Thank you, Sarah. Well, we'll be back next week. I don't know what I'm going to make yet, but we'll be back next week. I don't know what should we make? Have a little think. Let me know what you want me to make. And I'm going to try and do one in the evening as well, because I understand that not everybody can make it in the afternoon. Right, I'm going to shoot off because we're going to go and get the kids. I'm going to go and say hello to Mark. And yeah, I will see you all really soon. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there is a chainmail kit launching on Monday or Tuesday. It's Turkish round mail. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like Byzantine, but in a round. I haven't brought it with me. It's over there. I'm not going to get up and get it, because when I went up to get the wire, I tripped up. And it's a good job I turned the microphone off and the camera off, or you'd have seen me trip up. And nobody needs to see that. Right, I'm gonna shoot off. Thank you very much, Marge. Thank you all for joining me. It's been really lovely. I've loved doing this little bit of crafting. So yeah, I feel all chilled now, nice and chilled. I'm gonna go and drink my water, go and get the kids, and see what's on telly for tonight. Chainmail with beaded chaining. Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, definitely, Saba. That would be beautiful. Right, I'm gonna shoot off. Thank you ever so much for joining me. You're the best. See you in a bit.